Hello and welcome. This is your host, Lisa Neller, and you are listening to a Bliss Buddy Chat, a self-care and healthy living conversation worth listening to, because what we bring to the table are self-care strategies to make life more enjoyable. BringMeBliss.com is a self-care and healthy living blog for women. It's about helping women achieve utter joy and contentment in spite of their trials and circumstances. Our guests have an expertise in the self-care space, and we are bringing you real stories, tips, strategies, and solid advice for achieving a better life. Our content delivers information that addresses mind, body, and spirit. We promote getting in touch with all areas of yourself for better understanding and developing skills to live life intelligently. We want to help you reduce your stress and workload so you can live life to the fullest. This conversation is for you to learn better strategies for living well, eating well, moving well, and working well. Living out the second half of life with gusto, meaning, and purpose is what we are about. I'm interested in real stories from real people who have gone through rough stuff and have come out the other side. Each Bliss Buddy conversation includes myself and my Bliss Buddy, a real woman who helps bring joy to others with her spirit, her heart, her life, and her work. Excuse me. Today's Bliss Buddy is Jennifer Martin. Jennifer Martin became interested in mindfulness over 12 years ago after being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. A lifetime believer in the power of the mind and the body's natural ability to heal themselves, she was confident that if she could shift her relationship to stress, she could improve her overall wellness. Is that stress reduction? That's stress reduction. After graduating from John Kabat-Zinn's mindfulness-based stress reduction program and experiencing the many benefits in her own personal life, she became passionate about mindfulness and sharing. Certified. After enjoying the benefits at a Mindfulness Life Center in Scottsdale as a member, she began working there teaching mindfulness meditation in an 8-week series that is an introduction to mindfulness for stress reduction so that others could also learn to experience the benefits of mindfulness in their own lives. Jennifer grew up in Fairfield, Connecticut, and relocated to Arizona 5 years ago with her husband and their 2 teenage daughters and their 2 miniature dachshunds. She graduated from the University of Vermont with a BS degree in fashion merchandising and then worked in corporate sales for 10 years for 2 Fortune 500 companies before leaving the corporate world to raise their 2 daughters. She graduated as a certified life coach from the Institute of Life Coach Training, specializing in women's health and wellness. Currently a mindfulness instructor at a Mindfulness Life Center in Scottsdale, Arizona. She is helping other people de-stress. Okay, so welcome, Jennifer. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Lisa. I'm excited to be here.
First of all, can I ask what brought you to Arizona 5 years ago?
Well, my husband is in the golf business and has always wanted to live out here. And we had been in the East Coast our whole lives. I had basically been in Connecticut more or less my entire life. And we just were ready for a change. And we just wanted to try something completely new. He had always wanted to live out here. I wasn't sold on the idea of living in the desert, but I told him I would give it a try. And so we moved out here about 5 years ago. And it's taken about that long to feel like home after leaving all of my family and friends behind, but I am really happy living out here now and consider it home.
That's fantastic.
That's what brought us here.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and I know I love it here too. I'm from the Midwest myself. So your passion right now is sharing mindfulness. Tell us what happened when you became diagnosed with MS, and tell us a little bit about that, like how you started seeing symptoms and the beginning of that whole journey.
Well, really what happened about 12 years ago, I was, just a busy mom with 2 little girls, and I was living a rather stressful, hectic life. At the time, was kind of one of those moms trying to do everything and had a hard time saying no, and I could feel that I was stressed out and overwhelmed and just tired all the time. And I started just feeling not quite right. I remember going to doctors just saying something's not right, but no one ever found anything. And everyone just kind of attributed it to tired, stressed out mom. And then one Christmas, I was really, really busy and entertaining both sides of the family, my husband's family Christmas Eve, my family Christmas, doing, all the preparations for two little kids. And that Christmas night, remember just really having a terrible headache and just not feeling right. And the next day, the day after Christmas, I very quickly, over a period of hours, lost the vision. And it started in both eyes, but by the end of that next day, I had lost complete vision in one eye. And so knew something was up, but just didn't know what. And it was a holiday weekend, so no doctors were in. And it took a few days before I got in to see a doctor, and that started sort of a very rapid series of tests and scans and appointments with specialists. And I was diagnosed at the time with just a serious case of optic neuritis, which is an inflammation of the optic nerve, and treated with intravenous steroids to try to help reduce the inflammation so that I could have my vision restored. And I was also told at the time that it was very likely that I had multiple sclerosis, and that was often a first episode or indicator of it, but they were not able to definitively diagnose me at the time. So it was another 3 years before I was definitively diagnosed, and they had said it was going to take having another episode separated by space and time. So something else was going to have to happen to me and a different part of my body before they could definitively diagnose it. I had lesions on my brain, but they were indicative of it, but not conclusive of it. So for 3 years, I was convinced I did not have MS, and I lived in what I call my happy place of denial and continued living my very hectic, fast-paced life. And but researching a little bit about MS, it was in the back of my head, but pretty much certain after a couple of years of nothing happening that I was fine. And then 3 years later, I had another episode where I was sitting in church one Sunday and just my thumb started to feel funny. And by then I was very hypersensitive to my body because I was a little bit on edge, like, do I have this, don't I? And so kind of hypersensitive. So my thumb started to go numb, and I thought immediately, I hope this isn't the start of something. And very quickly that was on a Sunday, and before I could get into the doctor the next day, the whole right side of my body had gone numb. And so very quickly that led to more tests and a spinal tap, which was what I needed to be given definitive 100%, yes, you have MS. And so at that time, I just began kind of a whole life-altering journey where once I got over the initial shock of the diagnosis and the fear, because I still had two small young children, and what did this mean for me, I really believed very strongly that it was in my life for a good purpose, and that I would learn from it and be able to somehow touch other people's lives from this. And I was just, the fear was very quickly replaced with just an eerie calmness where I wasn't afraid, and I just knew there was a bigger purpose to it all. And someone at the time had given me the book Full Catastrophe Living by Jon Kabat-Zinn. And that was just an amazing book to read, and I highly recommend it to anyone. And that's what introduced me to this concept of mindfulness and as a way of stress reduction. Because in my research of MS, I very quickly learned, and doctors very quickly explained to me, that stress had a major contributing factor to relapses. And the two relapses I had were both around very stressful periods in my life. And so I was very certain that one of the best things I could do for myself was learn to manage the stress in my life. And this book kind of seemed to offer up those answers. And at the same time, I was reading this book about this man who was studying the effects of stress on the body in the 70s and had started a whole program out of the University of Massachusetts called the Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction Program. Somebody offered me, a yoga teacher at the time, was teaching this course. And I just thought, well, this is meant to be. Right at the time I'm reading about it, it falls into my lap to take this 8-week program. So I immediately enrolled, and I took an 8-week program that was life-altering in the very best, most possible way, and just opened up the doors to this journey through mindfulness that just I became passionate about it because I very quickly, immediately started to benefit from this. And I couldn't believe it because it was so simple. All I was doing was basically sitting for 30 minutes a day, doing nothing but paying attention to my breath, focusing on my breath, the sensations of my body, just sitting for 30 minutes a day. And how it was affecting my life and my relationships with myself, with my family, with my children, with my friends, how I was able to just respond so differently to the stress in my life as opposed to the automatic reactions I had been living for so many years, and rather effortlessly. And I just began to start to feel really healthy and well for the first time in years, and just believed that this was sort of the answer to staying well. Over the years, other things have come into my beliefs that I believe are really important to my wellness, which I can talk about later, but nutrition is vital to it now as well. But the mindfulness has stayed a very big part of my life, and I just became passionate about wanting to teach it to people. And that was when I made the decision to go and get it certified as a life coach with a desire to specialize in women's wellness, and have worked with women who, are seeking balance in their life, just looking for ways to reduce the stress, wanting to make change in their life. And it's just been an amazing journey for me. And I have had episodes, flare-ups from time to time, but I believe how I experience those flare-ups is very different than it would be if I were not living my life in this very purposeful, mindful, intentional way. And I am just in love with mindfulness and everything that it can do for people. So that's kind of my story.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Let me ask you this, the mindfulness practices that you've developed over the years, has that actually helped to put your MS in remission at all, or you're just able to manage the symptoms a lot better, or how do you see it as healing your body, and have other things helped to heal as well? The nutrition, like you said.
I would say it is a combination of my mindfulness practice and really how I've learned my relationship with stress and how that's changed, and my purposeful way of, I really mindfully, live my life to minimize the stress in my life. And when there is stress, I'm very mindful in how to continue taking care of myself as best as I can to be as least negatively affected by it. That, and I will say nutrition and what I've learned over nutrition over the years. There's a Dr. Terry Walls, who's a neurologist with MS, who was deteriorating very, very rapidly, and no medicine was helping her. So on her own, started to research the connection between nutrition and MS, and has created her whole, it's called the Walls Protocol. And so I began to follow her research, and I was doing, whatever information was available about MS and nutrition, I was following. There was a lot about avoiding saturated fat and different things, and I was doing that. But this was a whole new approach to basically avoiding any foods that your body may be having any kind of reaction to. So anything that might trigger the immune system. So if you were eating foods you're sensitive to and your body is triggering kind of an immune reaction to it, that is, something that needs to be avoided if you have MS. And so following her research, I became a very big believer in it because I implemented her diet very strictly in my life. And I do believe I went into complete remission. It was the first time in my life I heard my neurologist saying, "You're in remission." And I was never a runner, but I became a runner, and I ended up running a half marathon during this time. And I remember at the time telling people that I was in remission. And it was the first time since being diagnosed that I truly felt as though I did not have MS. And then after running the half marathon, that evening I went away on vacation with friends, and I thought, well, I just ran a half marathon. I deserve to eat whatever I want. And I had, at the time I was gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free. I was very limited in what I was eating. And I went and ate a big old cheeseburger on a regular bun with French fries. And then I kind of thought, well, nothing's happening. I can just cheat a little bit. And I enjoyed that vacation, just eating anything and everything I wanted and everything I had been avoiding. And when I got back from vacation, I found it a little bit hard to just go right back to the strict diet. And I kind of slacked off thinking, well, nothing's happening. I still feel good. And very slowly you'll be amazed at how your old habits can creep back in. And my old habits were still healthy, but they were not this clean. And so I got back to kind of eating regularly, still feeling good. And not very long after, I did have another relapse. So I began to think, I don't think this is a coincidence. I'm going to experiment here and get right back on that WALD protocol, in which time very quickly began to feel very healthy and recovered. And over the years, I have had periods where I might let myself go off of it for a period of time because it's very difficult. I enjoy eating. I enjoy the fun of food, going out to eat, and it's a hard diet to stick to. And I will say that I believe 100% in its efficacy because I feel the difference. I can feel my past relapse symptoms coming back. My vision will get blurry. The numbness will feel thick again. I will physically notice flare-ups, even if it's not a full-blown relapse. I will notice flare-ups when either I am under too much stress and not managing it, and maybe not practicing my mindfulness and not eating properly. Those are the two things that if I deviate from my consistency in following, I notice flare-ups of old symptoms. And anytime I have had a new relapse, there have been few, thank goodness, it has always been around the time when I am not doing both of those. When I do both of those very committedly and practice my mindfulness and manage my stress in healthy ways and adhere to this diet, I would say I'm in remission. And so I really believe in the power of both together. I don't think one without the other is nearly as effective as both together.
Wow, well, that can really give people a lot of hope who are struggling with this disease and, for the very real possibility of remission and just living a healthier, happier life. Bring Me Bliss, the website is about self-care and healthy living. So what do you do aside from mindfulness and aside from eating well? What do you do to take care of yourself, just to bring yourself happiness and bliss and that kind of thing?
Well, I love spending time with my family. My two daughters are now 16 and 14, and my husband, and we, enjoy hiking. I enjoy just relaxing with them. I enjoy exercise, and I do that very mindfully, depending on how I feel. There are some times I'm ready to do something I love, the Pure Barre fitness, and that's a challenging workout that I enjoy. Sometimes my body lets me know that it doesn't want that much. It just wants to take a walk. So I enjoy walking. So I enjoy, exercise. I enjoy yoga. Some days I'll feel like I want to do a more rigorous yoga. Sometimes I'll know that all I need to do is yoga nidra, lying down on the mat, relaxing. And so those are some things I enjoy. I enjoy time with friends, just being around healthy, like-minded people. I enjoy people with positive energy. I enjoy people interested in taking care of their health. I tend to spend time with friends who have similar interests. I also enjoy working with people, in my life coaching practice, and I enjoy working with newly diagnosed people who have just been told they have MS because I feel a real desire to help them with the initial fear. When I was diagnosed, I knew another mother who had a child in my child's preschool class who had MS, and it was a real comfort to see her doing well, taking care of her kids. It took some fear out. And so because I am doing so well, I enjoy sharing my journey with other people newly diagnosed and letting them know it's not necessarily a sentence to a wheelchair imminently. And I just enjoy going out to eat. I enjoy cooking healthy foods. Those are some of the things that make me happy. And I love my job at a Mindfulness Life Center. I love being at the center, both participating in the programs and also teaching there. It's a community of people seeking balance and looking to live their life with purpose and intention. And I love being around people like that. So those are
That's
some
awesome.
things I enjoy doing. And I also work with essential oils. And I know I believe you work with those on your site. And so I'm interested, I am always trying to learn more about different oils and homeopathic remedies to things. That's of real interest to me. And I would like to go back and get a certification in nutrition and further my education in those areas, because that all brings me happiness too.
Wow, well, you do a lot of things that take care of yourself. I love that. Hiking, being with your family, that tends to be a big one for people, is just spending time with the people that you love, and then taking time to exercise and eat well. And I like cooking too, so I get all of that. If let's say someone's listening and they have been recently diagnosed with MS, what is one thing they can do within the next 24 to 48 hours to to take better care of themselves? Just like one or two things. Sorry about that beep. Go ahead.
Let's see. They've just been told, I would say, surround themselves with supportive network, to feel supported, because it can be a frightening diagnosis. And so I think if you can not be isolated and alone with that, so to be around people who support you and love you. And I would really say one of the first things before you get online Googling multiple sclerosis and all the scary things you can read about it, and even before going on the MS Society webpage, not that it doesn't have a lot of helpful information, but would be to Google Dr. Terry Wahls, and that's Wahls, and just read her story. There's a TED Talk online where she shares her story. It's an amazing, beautiful story of overcoming this disease, and very empowering in the ways that you can take control of your health and manage this condition. So I think that would be, just off the top of my head, to someone newly diagnosed, if I had to give them one or two things to do in the next 24 hours, that would be what I would say. And so also I would say do something very loving for yourself. I mean, anytime you're going through a stressful situation, even if something as simple as taking a nice hot Epsom salt tub and lighting a candle and reading something inspirational that gives you hope and purpose, and just reminding yourself that it is not the end of something, but can be the beginning of a beautiful journey of self-discovery.
That's beautiful, Jennifer. Thank you. So Dr. Terry Wahls, do you spell that? I got the last name, Wahls. The first name is Terry, Terry, or is it spelled differently?
Yes, Terry, and then Wahls. And I would also say to people newly diagnosed, one quick thing is that somewhere newly along when I was diagnosed, I thought to myself that multiple sclerosis, MS, I decided it represented myself. And really, if I had to sum up what my journey with MS has been, it's been about learning about myself. And so I would tell someone that, because to me that can take something that can be quite frightening and turn it into an opportunity of growth and discovery and just empowerment, which is really what it's been for me. And if I had to go back and have a life without it, I would actually not choose that, because I wouldn't be the person that I am today had I not been diagnosed and had to live with this condition. And not that it hasn't always been easy, but it has allowed me to become the person that I am and it can become a real blessing if you choose to allow it to be.
Yes, you can, and you are. And well, okay, so last thing, let's just tell people where they can go to find you. And I know you've got, I think I mentioned that in your mindfulness programs coming up. So talk about whatever you want to promote right now.
I have a website, although it doesn't need to be updated, but it is www.jtmlifecoaching.com. And that tells a little bit about my life coaching, although it needs to be updated. And then you can also, if you look up at the center's website, which is www.amindfulnesslifecenter.com, that can show you all about the center and the various classes offered and series offered, and there's a detailed description about my 8-week series, which is what I'm most passionate about teaching. I'm currently in the middle of a series right now. However, we'll be starting a new one the second week of August, and it will be offered either Tuesday nights for 8 weeks from 6:30 to 8:30 or Thursday afternoons from 12 to 2 for 8 weeks. And it's a wonderful introduction, and it's basically modeled after the same 8-week course that I took 12 years ago that changed my life. And so I would welcome anybody to, look at that website to get more information. They can feel free to email me at, my email address is jtmartin67@gmail.com. And so, I would welcome anyone who's interested in either learning more about mindfulness or any kind of life coaching for wellness, or if you're newly diagnosed with MS and just would like to speak with me about it, to contact me, and I would welcome, speaking to anybody about any of things.
Well, that's wonderful. Now, your 8-week series is held in Scottsdale, Arizona. So there's going to be people listening to this that could be across the world. So I guess maybe they could, because they can't attend this series right now, could maybe read Full Catastrophe Living also if they wanted to just get into more mindfulness training and that kind of thing.
Absolutely. And if for people who live in different parts of the country or the world, if you Google, John Kabat-Zinn's mindfulness-based stress reduction program, it's offered all over the country. And so I'm sure you can find a place to take it near where you live, if you can't, travel to get to another location. And so I would, encourage people to just do some research to look for that. But it would be called the MBSR, by John Kabat-Zinn. And but Full Catastrophe Living would be a book that would tell you all about that. So that would give them the information to further research where they could find a course that's taught near them.
Okay, fantastic. Well, Jennifer, this has been very helpful, and I think that anybody listening, particularly those that have MS or some other kind of illness or condition that they would like to get help with their whole mind, body, spirit, this would be a good start. Mindfulness would be a great start. So thank you so much for joining me.
Well, you're so welcome, and thank you so much for the opportunity to share my story and to just connect with people that I would normally not, be able to reach. And so I appreciate the opportunity and enjoyed it.
Well, hopefully we'll get to meet soon because we live in the same town. So
well, come by the center. I would love to see you. Come by, and I actually teach meditation there Monday through Thursdays at 12 o'clock every day from 12 to 12:45. So pop in and I can do a little mindfulness meditation with you and show you around the center. Would love that.
All right, I will do it. Thank you, Jennifer.
Sounds good. All right, thanks, Lisa. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.